Hey, Aaron.
Hey, Tyson, how's it going?
Doing well, doing well. Welcome back to the Turning Point, eh?
Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome back.
Welcome back. I already see Michael Fox in the chat, and I would encourage everybody else to say hey. I would love to see everybody say hey tonight.
Hey, welcome.
Mm-hmm.
The 6th of May. How did we get to May already? This is crazy.
Just a year ago, we were just getting into the midst of the lockdowns.
Yep.
And then it's been a wild ride here in Ontario.
Absolutely. Eh? I'm sure it's been around the rest of the world too. It's really interesting to see what people have done during the pandemic. Not that anyone needs to have done anything, but a lot of people have taken the time to, I don't know, start a new business or a different career or figure out themselves, which is pretty cool too. So, and this show, I love it.
Exactly. I've seen so many people this year take a chance of reevaluating themselves and understanding like, wow, maybe I can take some time to really build on myself and have the time, especially during
a shift in perspective. Yeah,
exactly. And I would thank everybody to come. Thank you for everyone to come on the show. And if you guys are new here, if anyone is new here, and if you're a repeat, thank you for coming tonight. This is a Q&A show where you ask questions and Doug will answer. How you might answer a question or ask a question, we'll just be placing it. All you have to do is just put it in the comment section and I'll bring it on the screen for Doug to answer. As simple as that. Really, really simple. The next way, there's two ways too. The next way is you come on and you can actually ask your question live with Doug. This is a little bit better because maybe your question might need a little bit context to what maybe you can't put into a comment into the chat.
Yeah.
So I'm going to drop a link when the time comes, when Doug comes on, and you guys can hop on in and see Aaron backstage. Okay, quickly before we bring on Doug, I just want to say hi to everyone really quickly. So first off, we're going to start with Michael. Michael, hey, excited for tonight? Us too. Jen.
Hey, hello.
Been here every single episode.
Preach. Love it.
Christopher.
Hey.
John, Stefan.
Hey.
Cecilia. Judy.
Love it.
Wow, this is amazing.
Alina, hello.
Paradigm Shift.
Woo! That's
Shell,
exactly it.
Andy. Okay, hello.
Guys.
Welcome. Let's get right into it and get your questions ready. Start putting them in the chat right now if you can.
Yeah.
And I'll start bringing them up. Okay?
Here we go.
Hey, Doug.
Hello. Good evening.
Hello.
How are you guys?
Doing well. How about you?
You're having a lot of fun, aren't you?
I'm loving the blue.
Like the blue. Yeah, I know. Wow.
Yeah, you know. Of course.
I like blue. What can I say?
Mm-hmm. It looks good on you.
Blue. I'm a fan of blue. I got my colors done one time. You ever had your colors done, Aaron?
No, that's a thing.
That's a thing. You get your colors done, yeah. One of my clients, a friend, look her up, Stacy Arsen, AAARSEN. Anyway, so what you do is you get your, based on your eye color, your skin tone, et cetera, body shape, face shape, the whole shebang, and you get this color palette. And so the optimal colors for me are summer cool. So this would be like a summer cool color, like blue, like sort of muted colors, greens, blues, etc. I used to have a lot of brown. She was out with the brown. So I throw out brown suits. I throw out brown shoes. And I have a color palette. So if I ever go shopping, I just kind of take that with me and I stick to those colors. So blue is one of my colors.
Very cool. It's a good color. Love it.
I know. All right, well, let's start, shall we?
Yeah, let's get right into it.
All right, let's get into it. All right, so first off, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight and watching. If you're live on the show, I see I'm just watching on my phone here on Facebook, so keep an eye on that. See everybody here, which is great. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching the replay, thanks for watching the replay. And as always, we ask you to share the show. So you can share it now and bring some people on. If you want to invite some people on, or if something hits you tonight, hit the share button and share it out to the people, because the goal for me with this is to try to help as many people as I can with any thought or message or whatever, and get you to pass it along as well. This is the last show of season 1. So I can't believe it. We started this in mid-December. And so it's been almost coming on 5 months now. And so we are going to take a little break. And like all popular TV shows, end of season 1. And I am going to be working on a couple things in the next little bit that I'm going to be releasing. I'm going to be focusing a lot on entrepreneurs, salespeople, selling, sales managers. I really love selling and teaching people how to sell. So you'll see some stuff coming out on that shortly. Lots of free trainings and lots of things going on. So while we're taking a break from the first season of this show, then I'll be doing some other things to help you with your business, and whether you're an entrepreneur, solopreneur, sales manager, sales leader, business owner, somebody that wants to be a business owner. I've got 30 years of business experience in building businesses and coaching people to succeed at business, and I want to share some of that stuff with you. So that we're going to shift our focus a little bit to that in the meantime while we work on the next season of the show. So anyway, I wanted to finish tonight off, this last show for the season, and I really wanted to kind of, frankly, hit you pretty hard. And what I mean by that is there's really only two ways to change your mind. There's only really two ways to change the way that you think. And I learned this, and I picked this up from my mentor, Bob Proctor. And the only way to change your mind is through repetition of an idea or an emotional impact. And so what I've been doing for 5 months on this show is trying to hit you in the gut with an emotional impact to get you to change the way you're thinking, so you could see a turning point and go in a bit of a different direction. I could be on here for the next 24 hours straight, and I probably still couldn't give you enough repetition that would cause you to change. So tonight, I wanted to talk to you about this, Think and Grow Rich, specifically the 30 major causes of failure. And I got this book in the late 80s, and I thought I had it figured out, and I didn't have it figured out at all. It took me quite some time to actually figure it out. I've read it many, 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 many times, and I didn't really figure it out until I met Bob Proctor. And Bob had been, at the time I met him, he had been studying this book and reading this book for 53 years, every day for 53 years. And I remember him saying that, he said, I figure if this guy spent his whole life writing this book, I'm going to spend the rest of my life reading the book. And so Napoleon Hill, the author, and if you're not familiar with the book, just real quick, Napoleon Hill met the richest man in the world back in the early 1900s. His name was Andrew Carnegie. You've heard of Carnegie Hall and maybe Carnegie Libraries in your city or your country. And he was the richest man in the world, and he wanted to take his success philosophy to the world. He felt it was just plain wrong that the average person didn't have the secret to success. And so the author, Napoleon Hill, spent 25 years interviewing 25,000 people, 500 of the most successful people at that time: Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, F.W. Woolworth, Henry Ford. He became friends with most of these people. And anyway, so this book it's not just a self-help book. It really is it's a system. There's 13 principles in the book he talks about. There is a secret in the book. He mentions it 100 times at least. And it's not a philosophy, but it's a system that Carnegie had created and passed along. And I figure this is a data collection. Like, this guy interviewed 25,000 people. So anyway, earlier this week, I was working on myself, actually, and I thought to myself, I gotta check myself against this list. And in the organized planning chapter, he talks about leadership, and he talks about the 30 major causes of failure. So tonight, I'm going to cover them real quick. If I were you, I get your pen out and just take inventory as I'm going through. If I say something in these 30 points that strikes you, one of the items you need to pay attention to, just jot down a couple of words to remind yourself of something that you need to focus on and work on. And the other thing I learned about this is that it doesn't matter how many books you read. It doesn't matter how many webinars or calls like this you come on. It doesn't matter how many YouTube videos you watch. If you don't change what's going on inside of you, nothing is going to change. Yeah, you might see some incremental increases. You might have some wins here and there. But fundamentally, if you really want to succeed in life, whatever that looks like to you, how much money you want to earn, whatever it looks like for you, then you're going to have to change what's going on inside for you. And that's what I've spent the past 7 years learning to do for me, but also teaching other people to do it. And so if anything in this book, hits you, you might need some help changing what's going on inside so you can ultimately enjoy the success that you want. So let me get into it here. All right. By the way, I should mention that the principles that are in this book, and the system that's in this book, and the system that ultimately I teach, which is basically what Bob Proctor did, is he spent now 60 years studying this book and many others, of course, and he wanted to put together a system that people could follow to change what was going on inside so they could change what's going on outside and really understand why you're doing what you're doing and why you're not doing the things that you could be doing. The philosophy in this book, the system in this book, and the system that I teach, it gets rid of all of these major causes of failure. It addresses each and every one of them, except for one, but there's a solution for one. So let me get into it, and I'd be curious to hear what you guys are thinking as we're going through this, and we'll have some time for some questions. All right. Number one, unfavorable hereditary background. There's but little of anything which can be done for people who are born with a deficiency in brain power. However, this philosophy offers but one method of bridging this weakness through the aid of the mastermind. So a lot of the people that he interviewed weren't that bright, weren't that smart. Many were, challenged physically, mentally, in lots of different ways. And through the aid of the mastermind, which is basically organizing a group of people with specialized knowledge to hook up together your mind with their mind, and you can offset this issue of unfavorable hereditary background. Lack of a well-defined purpose in life. Very few people have goals. There's no hope of success for the person who does not have a central purpose or a definite goal at which to aim. 98 out of every 100 of those whom I've analyzed have no such aim. So out of 25,000 people, 98% did not have goals. And I think that number still holds true today. I talk to a lot of people, I have goals. And then when they tell me what they're thinking of, they don't have goals. They got ideas, they got some action plans, but they don't really have a definite purpose they're shooting for. Number three, lack of ambition to aim over mediocrity. We offer no hope for the person who is so indifferent as to not want to get ahead in life and who is not willing to pay the price. Number four, insufficient education. This is a handicap which may be overcome with comparative ease. Experience has proven that the best educated people are often those who are known as self-made or self-educated. It takes more than a college degree to make one a person of education. Any person who is educated is one who has learned to get whatever he wants in life without violating the rights of others. Education consists not so much of knowledge, but of knowledge effectively and persistently applied. Okay, so you don't have to have an education in the traditional sense of what we know here in North America, wherever you're listening. I have a grade 9.5 education. I didn't go to college. I didn't go to university. I acquired knowledge through what he said here, persistence and learning as I went, learning through failure. Number five, lack of self-discipline. Discipline comes through self-control. This means that one must control all negative qualities. Before you can control conditions, you must first control yourself. Self-mastery is the hardest job you'll ever tackle. If you do not conquer self, you will be conquered by self. You may see at one and the same time, both your best friend and your greatest enemy by stepping in front of a mirror. I was sitting with Bob last Saturday in his studio talking, and he said, Doug, he said, you're the only problem and you're the only solution. He said, when Raymond Stanford, my mentor, gave me this book, that's what he told me. He said, I didn't get it. It took me 5 years to figure out what he meant. And I was talking to Bob about a situation and a few things that were going on. He said, Doug, it's your fault. He says, nobody else's fault but yours. When you learn that, when you get that, when you realize that you're the problem and you're the solution, your whole life will change. And I had a real turning point last Saturday afternoon when I finally got that. All right. You got to control yourself. Number six, ill health. No person may enjoy outstanding success without good health. Many of the causes of ill health are subject to mastery and control. Some of these are overeating of foods, wrong habits of thought, wrong use and overindulgence in sex, lack of proper physical exercise. Now let's go back to the sex thing for a second. There's a thing called sex transmutation. All right, sex energy is the highest form of energy there is, and most people redirect or misdirect and misuse their sex energy. Lack of proper physical exercise and an inadequate supply of fresh air. Number 7, unfavorable environmental influences during childhood. That was me. As the twig is bent, so shall the tree grow. Most people who have criminal tendencies acquire them as a result of bad environment and improper associates during childhood. So I suffered from that for many, many years. I did, what does it say? As the twig is bent, so shall the tree grow. Well, I grew very bent, but then I decided to take self-control. Number 8, procrastination. This is one of the most common causes of failure. Old man procrastination stands within the shadow of every human being, waiting his opportunity to spoil one's chances of success. Most of us go through life as failures because we are waiting for the time to be right to start doing something worthwhile. Do not wait. The time will never be just right. Start where you stand and work with whatever tools you have at your command, and better tools will be found as you go along. Number 9, lack of persistence. The person who makes persistence his watchword discovers that old man failure finally becomes tired and makes his departure. Failure cannot cope with persistence. Number 10, a negative personality. There's no hope of success for the person who repels people through a negative personality. Success comes through the application of power, and power is attained through the cooperative efforts of other people. A negative personality will not induce cooperation. Number 11, lack of controlled sex urge. Sex energy is the most powerful of all the stimuli which move people into action. Because it's the most powerful of the emotions, it must be controlled through transmutation and converted into other channels. Very few people get this. Very few people blow this and waste this. The term sowing your wild oats, that came from young men and women where they were burning their sex energy off physically. Most people burn their sex energy off physically, and they don't know how to transmute it into a positive result. Number 12, I didn't say happy ending. I said a positive result. I just knew somebody was going there on the show, so I thought, what the hell, I'll cover it. Number 12, uncontrolled desire for something for nothing. The gambling instinct drives millions of people to failure. Evidence may be found in the study of the Wall Street crash of 29, in which millions of people try to make money by gambling on stock margins. Buying lottery tickets. It's not a good idea. Number 13, lack of a well-defined power of decision. Men who succeed reach decisions. Now, forgive me where he says men. This is written in 1937, so forgive me for the gender lean in the wording. Men who succeed reach decisions promptly and change them, if at all, very slowly. Men who fail to reach decisions, if at all, very slowly, and change them frequently and quickly. Indecision and procrastination are twin brothers. Where one is found, the other may usually be found. Kill off this pair before they hog tie you to the treadmill of failure. 14, one or more of the 6 basic fears. These fears have been analyzed for you in a later chapter. They must be mastered before you can market your services effectively. All right, so he talks about the 6 ghosts of fear in the end of the book. Top of the list, fear of criticism, fear of poverty, and fear of ill health. So you've got to master the fear of criticism, and you've got to master the fear of poverty. 15, wrong selection of a mate in marriage. This is the most common of failure. The relationship of marriage brings people intimately into contact. Unless this relationship is harmonious, failure is likely to follow. Moreover, it will be a form of failure that is marked by misery and unhappiness, destroying all signs of ambition. So if you choose the wrong person in a relationship, trust me, it'll be marked by misery, unhappiness, and it'll destroy all of your ambition. Some of you are experiencing that right now. 16, overcaution. The person who takes no chances generally has to take whatever is left when others are through choosing. I love that. The person who takes no chances generally has to take whatever is left over when others are done choosing. Overcaution is as bad as undercaution. Both are extremes to be guarded against. Life itself is filled with the element of chance. 17, wrong selection of associates in business. This is one of the most common causes of failure in business. Number 18, superstition and prejudice. Superstition is a form of fear. It's also a sign of ignorance. Men who succeed keep open minds and are afraid of nothing. Ignorance is a huge problem, especially in today's world. I mean, our days just fly by. We're scrolling and swiping and, habitually living our days. And we just ignorantly go along, tiptoeing through life, hoping to make it safely to death, not really understanding what the hell's going on, why you're doing what you're doing, and why you're not doing what you could be doing. Number 19, wrong selection of a vocation. No man can succeed in a line of endeavor which he does not like. How many of you would like to quit your job and start your life? If you're doing something you don't like to do or don't love to do, that is a problem. The most essential step in the marketing of your services is that of selecting an occupation into which you can throw yourself wholeheartedly. And don't say, well, I can't quit my job, I need the money. That's not the way to think. Start thinking about what you'd love to do, and then you'll start figuring out what you can do, and then you can get a job doing that very thing that you love to do. 20, lack of concentration of effort. The jack of all trades is seldom good at any. Concentrate all your efforts on one definite chief aim. That's what I focus on. I get all kinds of opportunities coming my way. I just focus on what I'm doing, which is teaching you to live the way you want to live, earn the money you want to earn, and stop worrying and doubting about your future. 21, the habit of indiscriminate spending. The spendthrift cannot succeed mainly because he stands eternally in the fear of poverty. Form the habit of systematic saving by putting aside a definite percentage of your income. Pay yourself first. Money in the bank gives one a very safe foundation of courage when bargaining for the sale of your services. Without money, one must take what one is offered and be glad to get it. We talked about this on a show a few weeks back. Always pay yourself first. And you go, well, I got to pay my bills. I got to pay my car. I got to pay my mortgage. No, you pay yourself first. It's your money. You're earning it. You pay yourself first. Make that a priority. 22, lack of enthusiasm. Without enthusiasm, one cannot be convincing. Moreover, enthusiasm is contagious, and the person who has it under control is generally welcome in any group of people. How are you guys doing so far here? Anything on the list striking you? Get your pen out, jot a couple of points down. Number 23, intolerance. The person with a closed mind on any subject seldom gets ahead. Intolerance means that one has stopped acquiring knowledge. Most damaging forms of intolerance are those connected with religious, racial, and political differences of opinion. I'm constantly trying to break down your intolerance. People have become so defensive and doubtful about what they're capable of. And even when I'm trying to help them get to where they want to go, and I know the change you need to make, and when I tell you the change you need to make, it all lines up, but you still become defensive and doubtful, and your mind is closed. 24, intemperance. The most damaging forms of intemperance are connected with eating, strong drink, and sexual activities. Overindulgence in any of these is fatal to your success. It's back to this notion of controlling yourself. 25, the inability to cooperate with others. More people lose their positions and their big opportunities in life because of this fault than for all other reasons combined. It is a fault which no well-informed business person or leader will tolerate. You've got to learn to cooperate with other people. And if you're not able to cooperate with other people, it's because you got something going on inside that you're latched onto, something that happened to you, something that somebody did to you, some mistake that you made, whatever. You're holding on to something that's getting in your way of the ability to cooperate with others. I was talking to somebody today about the challenge they were facing with somebody. And the person, just because of their own junk, doesn't have the ability to cooperate with other people. Now they're in conflict. 26, possession of power that was not acquired through self-effort. Sons and daughters of wealthy men and others who inherit money, which they did not earn. Power in the hands of one who did not acquire it gradually is often fatal to success. Quick riches are more dangerous than poverty. And you hear all kinds of stories. I don't know if you've ever known anybody that's won a lot of money or inherited a lot of money that didn't have it before. Or you can look up all kinds of stories of people, they're rich one day and not very long later, they're back to poverty again. 27, intention dishonesty. There's no substitute for honesty. One may be temporarily dishonest by force of circumstances over which one has no control without permanent damage. But there's no hope for the person who is dishonest by choice. Sooner or later, his deeds will catch up and he will pay by loss of reputation and perhaps even loss of liberty. 28, egotism and vanity. These qualities serve as red lights which warn others to keep away. They are fatal to success. When I first started working with Bob, he quoted a guy named Howard Banal. He was saying to me, Doug, he said, don't ever make this about you. He said, don't ever let your ego take over. Get really good at what you do a good job, provide great service, but don't ever make this about you. And Howard Banal, that he quoted, says, don't drink your own bathwater because you'll probably get sick. That's the idea. You can't be walking around with egotism and vanity. Now, there's a difference between being confident and being secure in yourself. That's different. But being egotistic and vain, that's something completely different, and that's fatal to your success. 29, guessing instead of thinking. Most people are too indifferent or lazy to acquire facts with which to think accurately. They prefer to act on opinions created by guesswork or snap judgments. Number 30, lack of capital. This is a common cause of failure among those who start out in business for the first time without sufficient reserve of capital to absorb the shock of their mistakes and to carry them over until they've established a reputation. Now, listen, I've known lots of people that start out in business with not a lot of money. And there are businesses that you can do that, where you can start out with not a lot of money and you can get off the ground and start earning money fairly quickly. But there's nothing worse than being under financial pressure and having to make a sale, for example, if you're in sales, in order to pay your bills. Now, you might be in that boat, maybe you put yourself in that boat, but I wouldn't suggest that you make a decision like that. Don't put yourself under that kind of pressure. But there's lots of ways to start earning money while you're working full-time in your job. And then he adds 31 here. Under this, name any particular cause of failure from which you have suffered that has not been included in the foregoing list. And he ends here, he goes, the oldest of admonitions is man, know thyself. And that's basically what I've been trying to do, is really share some ideas with you on this show to really kind of get you to seriously consider to know thyself. That is the secret to life. That's the secret to your success, is knowing yourself. And again, like I said, knowing why you're doing what you're doing, why you're thinking the way you're thinking, why you're feeling the way you're feeling, and why you're not doing what you could be doing to succeed in any area of your life, whatever it is that you want to do. And I know through enough evidence and working with enough people, I know what it takes to turn all that around. And I've seen lots of people do it from all walks of life, all kinds of ages, all kinds of backgrounds, backgrounds like mine, all kinds of stories. And they succeed by applying certain principles and following certain rules. And life is a game. And if you follow the rules, you can win. So I wanted to share that with you because I really want to challenge you to really take inventory of the things that I mentioned and then make a committed decision like tonight. Go, that's it. Enough is enough. Do what I did. Just enough is enough. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of not living the way I want. I'm sick and tired of having to say I can't afford things. I'm sick and tired of my relationships not going as well as I'd like. I'm sick and tired of how I'm feeling. Just get fed up where you go, that's it. Tonight, I'm making a change. Now, if and when you make that decision, then you got to stick to the decision. And if and when you make that decision and stick to the decision, then the other thing you got to do is you're going to have to change the mental program you got going on inside. There's amazing people that write apps and software and an operating system that runs this phone, this machine. And our mind is like a machine. And we have a built-in mental program. We've got an operating system, and we've got a lot of virus code. The people that programmed us, they didn't know what the hell they were doing. Now, I don't know how to write software or code, but I certainly know how to change the program that's going on inside for you. That's what I did for me, and that's what you're going to have to do. And if you don't do that, I guarantee you, 3 months, 6 months, 5 years from now, you'll be in pretty much the same spot. You'll make some incremental increases, but if you really want to make a monumental move and really change the course of your life, that's what you got to do. I don't care whether you do it with me, whoever you do it with, but this is what you've got to go after, and this is what will cause the turning point in your life. So anyway, I wanted to just kind of wrap up our first season with hitting you over the head with that inventory, because I looked at it, I thought, geez, you know what, I gotta review that again. And I looked at it, and I'm feeling pretty good. There's another thing. There's a set of self-analysis questions that comes later on in the chapter, and he recommends that you do that once a year. And so I went through that again, and it's a good thing to go through on a regular basis, because you're the problem and you're the solution. So Tyson, that is my rant for the last show of season 1. And if we have time, we can take some questions.
Yes, now is the time to put your questions into the chat. And if you're on Facebook and YouTube, I'm going to post a link where you can join and come on the show.
Yeah, while you're doing that, while we're getting some questions going here, we're going to drop a link here for you at the end. I've got a little workbook. It's called the Turning Point Workbook. We're going to drop that in there for you. And if you want to grab that, and or if you want to get on my email list to get invited for some of the things we've got coming up for sales and free trainings, things like that, that'd be a way to get on the email list, and we'll keep you up to date with what's coming new in the next couple of months. Okay.
So we have one question. So my friend is full of himself and keeps trying to show off that he is the best at everything. What do I do?
Well, I got two answers, I guess. One is ignore them. Like, who cares? I don't know. Why would it bother you if they're full of themselves and trying to show off? Remember, we talked about this last week. Remember that when people are acting superior, this is what this would be. The person would be demonstrating what we call a superiority complex. They think they're better than everybody else or better than you, and so they show off and try to one-up you and better you and things like that. Well, generally what they're doing is they're covering up an inferiority complex. And so to cover up their feelings of not feeling good about themselves, they act superior towards others. So sympathy is a good approach. I think you should just make your mind up that you should look upon every person with what we call the impression of increase. Just look for the good in everybody. I was listening to a lesson on attitude. I've been listening to it all week, probably 3-4 times a day, probably more than a week, probably a couple of weeks now, by Earl Nightingale. He said, treat everybody you come in contact with as the most important person in the world, because in their mind, they are. And so I think what we got to do is we got to stop looking at people in a negative way. You're looking at this person in a negative way through your lens, through your viewpoint, through your perception. I don't know what they're doing. I'm not saying it's good that they're doing what they're doing, but we got to change the way we look at people. And I'm sure that if 10 people lined up to look at this person, they would all have a different viewpoint on that person because they all have a different perception themselves. So that's probably what I would do, is just be sympathetic, understand there must be something going on inside for them to act the way that they're acting. And if you look at the 30 major causes of failure, some of the things we covered there, listen, undoubtedly, somebody's been through the ringer. Like, I wasn't really a great guy most of my life. I mean, I was a good guy in a lot of respects. In other areas, I wasn't. Certainly early on, I wasn't a great guy. I'm a great guy now. I really like myself, but I had to work on that. And so remember, people can change too. Man, I've changed. God, if you knew me, you might not want to hang around with me but everybody can change. So I think that's important. We look at people that way and look for the good.
Awesome. Michelle has a question. Have you read his other book, Interview with the Devil? Did you enjoy that? And what are your thoughts?
I did enjoy that. Where is that? It's on my shelf here somewhere. Yeah. Listen, Michelle, such a good book. If you love Think and Grow Rich, Interview with the Devil is an amazing book. And basically it's the antithesis to Think and Grow Rich. So, and I don't want to spoil the story about the book, but if you get the book, in the beginning of the book, it's the story is told of how the book came about. It did not get published while Napoleon Hill was alive, and there's a reason for that. And so I don't want to spoil the story, but I'll let you read the story. And anyway, he meets the devil. And the devil agrees that he will answer any question that Napoleon gives him. And the devil explains to him how he keeps you drifting away. So the devil's got all these strategies and tactics to keep you drifting away from your definite purpose, your definite chief aim, keep you drifting in the wrong direction of the purpose of your life, keep you drifting in procrastination and the comfort zone and, making up excuses and alibis, poor me. And so the devil has all these tactics. Well, I started reading that book and it's amazing. I read it in my book club one time. Anyway, at the same time I was reading the book, I shared it with a friend of mine. I said, you got to read this book. And I was explaining what the book was all about. He said, you got to read the Screw Tape Letters. Has anybody read the Screw Tape Letters by C.S. Lewis? It's just a little book. You got to get it. C.S. Lewis, of course, wrote the Narnia books and the movies, right? And so Uncle Screwtape is a demon. He works for the devil. And he mentors his nephew. His name is Wormwood. And Screwtape writes letters to his nephew, explaining and teaching him strategies to keep his patient away from the enemy. And so the patient is the human, and of course the enemy is God. And so every chapter is a letter from Uncle Screwtape to his nephew Wormwood on how to keep the human drifting and away from God and their definite purpose, because God has a purpose for you. And so it's a spiritual version of outwitting the devil. Anyway, they're amazing books. What it did for me in studying both those books, I didn't read them, I studied them. In studying them, it just embedded me a reminder that whenever I feel off, for an extended period of time, or I'm playing with some thoughts and ideas that don't feel good, I go, the devil's at work. There's a spiritual battle going on inside of me, and the devil's trying to keep me drifting. And so I learned that if I'm entertaining a thought and idea that doesn't feel good, it's probably a lie. Lies always feel lousy. The truth always feels good. And that notion, the truth shall set you free. Anyway, amazing, amazing book. You should definitely check it out. Thanks for bringing it up, Michelle. That's cool.
Cool. And we got this one. This one's interesting. It feels uncomfortable when someone compliments me. I'm not too sure what to say. What do you recommend?
I recommend you just simply say thank you. You don't need to take the compliment to heart. Just start practice. Just say thank you. You don't have to explain. You don't have to talk. You don't have to do anything. Just say thank you. Just like that. Thank you. You're uncomfortable. Most people are uncomfortable receiving compliments until you get yourself to a point where you know yourself, you like yourself, and you can be yourself. When you get to that point, like I was very uncomfortable with compliments, but I'm pretty good with them now. And it took some practice for sure. Practice of a few things. Number one is you've got to get yourself to a point where you don't care what other people think of you. Number one, fear of criticism. And a lot of people, like me and others, grew up with a real low self-esteem, or like I said, an inferiority complex, a lack of self-confidence because of where we came from and our experiences. And so, the reality is when people compliment you, they can see it. You can't hide the truth, folks. Okay. You can't hide your good because it emanates through you. It just comes out in your energy and your light. I mean, I can see it in people's eyes. I can see it in the energy in their body. I could meet somebody within 2-3 seconds and I can just pick up all kinds of good. It comes out of you. And I would say to people, I said, so for example, I might say to this person, you've got a really great attitude about you, and you just have a way about you, that everybody just seems to really like you and kind of, I don't know, they all want to talk to you. They want to get your advice and listen to it. And I go, is that true? And they go, yeah. And then they get really uncomfortable. And I said, you've heard that before, haven't you? Yeah. And not just from one person, not just from me, right? Yeah. I said, well, if you've heard it from more than one person, do you think chances are that's probably true? Yeah, it's true. So people will spot the good in you. You can't hide it. And they compliment you. And the discomfort is that it's true, but you're just not comfortable receiving it because of, just the way that you feel about yourself. So just say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
There's so funny. As you're speaking, it reminded me of something. You have this self-image formula, right? That is kind of in relation to this, that it's on your website.
Yeah.
Do you think that would be something worthwhile to go and check it out? You think?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It's all in the chat for everyone to go see. Because I was reading it. It looks really great.
Yeah. It's all self-image, that is, that's the problem. That's the solution too. You see yourself a certain way because of the way you were brought up and the things you were taught to believe. And then you started operating with that self-image, and then you got results that were equal to that self-image that you didn't like. And then you think there's something wrong with you. And that's the problem. The solution is you can create a self-image just like your original self-image was created for you by other people. It's essential. I got a text from somebody tonight. They were looking at something to post on Facebook about Mental Health Week or something, and they said, what would you say to that person about mental health? And let me pull it up here. So my first answer, this was the nice one. What would you say? The person said, what strategies do you use to maintain your mental health and well-being? And I said, I continue to distance myself from judgment. I keep reminding myself that I don't have to worry about what anybody thinks about me because they're not me and they wouldn't understand me, and I'd rather be me. Then I said, or a little more brash, I'm the furthest away I've ever been from giving a shit what anybody thinks about me. The farther I get away, the freer I am. And then I went on one more. The secret to mental health is not giving a shit what anybody thinks of me. A daily dose of that, and every day you become more immune. And that's what we got to do. The whole reason this show started was I wanted just people break this freaking epidemic called judgment and this fear of criticism. It's killing your goals. It's killing your ambition. It's killing your energy. It's killing your relationships. It's killing your health. It's killing you. It's killing young people. And I'm very passionate about that. Don't get me started, Tyson.
I've heard this one great quote is that people judge because thinking is hard. And I was like, that's a good quote.
Well, he kind of said that in he said about people being lazy, right? What did he say in that one? Where is it? Guessing instead of thinking, number 29. Most people are too indifferent or lazy to acquire the facts with which to think accurately.
Yeah. So this next question I'm super interested in because ever since I've been on the show, I've been learning a lot, as probably everyone else is here. So I want to hear your opinion. So I don't know all the best paths of life, but I've gotten a good sense of a general path from the show. What if you see someone you love going down a bad path?
That's a good question. It depends. Depends on who they are. If it's your child, and depending how young they are, if they're younger, then at a certain age, they don't want to be told what to do. And so I introduce them to a new path. Kids love choices. I introduce them to a new path. If they're a teenager or a young adult, and my daughter's 18, she's gone down some paths. Not really, I wouldn't call it a bad path, but it could have led to a bad destination potentially. So I just kind of like with my clients too. I'm not the hero; I'm the guide. And so if I'm going along with you on this journey and I see danger, or a problem, I would point it out. So I might point it out to her. Not in the form of telling her what to do, in the form of questions. Okay? Questions are the most effective way to get people thinking because they have to. So pose good questions to people, not in a judgmental way or in a know-it-all way or like that. But if you see somebody going down a bad path, just pose some questions. What was I reading earlier today? I know. It was in a sales course I'm running for salespeople, and let me see if I can find it real quick here. Sorry, bear with me here. No, I can't find it. Basically, the point was that don't tell people what they should do or think. Ask questions and help. That's what it was. Ask questions and help them discover the answers to their own problems. That's what it was. Ask questions to help them come up with answers to solve their own problem. That's what I would do. And then, if they're not related to you, if they're not family, like immediate family, then, maybe they're not going down a bad path. Maybe it's a good path. I went down what we perceived as a bad path, but look at me. I'm sitting here doing this. If I had not gone through all of that violence, all that abuse, all that self-abuse, all those mistakes, I wouldn't have the experience I have now to help. And I help hundreds and hundreds of people all around the world. So you could have looked at that as a bad path at the time, but it actually turned out to be a pretty good path. Maybe the path looks bumpy initially, but there might be some real beauty on the other side. So it's all perception.
Yeah, I guess in some sense, it's kind of selfish in some way, right? If you really think about it in that way, maybe because you don't really know the right path.
Yeah, definitely. Could be selfish, could be judgmental. Listen, I'm not criticizing the questioner. Obviously they care. They wouldn't have put up the question.
No, yeah.
But it's kind of like that makes me think about grief. I learned early on when my dad passed away, grief is selfish. I wasn't thinking about my dad. I was thinking about me. Loss and grief is very selfish. It's not a bad thing, but we've been taught a lot of interesting things as we've been brought up in this world. What else, Tyson?
That's what a good coach does. Ask good questions, right?
Well, listen. If you're coaching kids, then you direct them. If you're coaching adults, they direct themselves. You guide them through good questions. That's what coaching is, right? People don't even understand what coaching is.
Cool. I think this is a great. I see that we're coming to the top of the hour, and but I think this is a great last question.
Okay.
Before we get into the little workbook that you want everyone to take home, I think it's a great workbook. And so here's the question: so if you had a billboard for the whole world to see, what would you want the world to know and why?
If I had a billboard for the whole world to see, what would I want the world to know and why? Wow, that is a great question. That's one of those questions where I just go, I'd like to really think about that, but I'm just going to follow my intuition to see what comes through me. I had a billboard for the whole world to see. What would I want the world to know and why? I would want the billboard would say, "You're fine." That would be the headline. You're fine. I want people to know that you are absolutely perfect in every way. You may not do perfect things, but you were created in the image of God. You're absolutely perfect. Your beliefs, your rules, your values, the things you learn, that ain't perfect, but you're absolutely perfect. You're a gift from God, and you have just amazing potential. And I guess what I put on the billboard, Tyson, would be, look here, and it'd be a mirror. So you could look in the mirror and you'd be able to see who you really, truly are. And after looking in the mirror, you'd be able to walk away and you'd have the courage to be yourself. That's my answer. Just be yourself. I just wish everybody would just be themselves.
That's amazing. I love that. Yeah, I think it goes hand in hand with, I don't think enough people hear enough good criticism anymore. No one feels encouraged anymore. It's always bad criticism. Why
Yeah.
did you...
Well, yeah, it's just
But I love that.
I was having, it's funny, Eden was sitting here today and in my office, in the corner here, and she'll kill me if I tell you this. Anyway, it's that time of the month, right? When she's funny. Anyway, she was talking away. I said, well, that's actually God's way of punishing women, because Eve ate the apple in the Garden of Eden. And she goes, what? I go, no, I'm just kidding. But seriously, I was having breakfast with a friend of mine, and he really helped me a lot. He really got me connected to a relationship with God. Really got me to understand, spirituality and getting away from all this religion, operating more from a place of irreligion. And we were having breakfast one time, and we were talking about this whole issue, Tyson, of judgment. And somehow we got on the topic of, I think I was talking about the Garden of Eden, because I have a program I started called the Garden of Eden. It was to raise money for underprivileged youth to help them with their personal development. And so I was talking about that. That's what it was. And then we were talking about judgment a lot. And then all of a sudden it clicked, and I go, that was the beginning of judgment. That is the very beginning of judgment, when Eve eats from the tree of knowledge, eats the fruit, and all of a sudden Adam and Eve, they realize they're naked, and they hide from God, and they cover themselves up. That was the beginning of judgment. And that's our biggest problem, is we judge everybody. We were taught to judge. We watched our parents judge. They judged us. And then we started judging ourselves. So we learned to do it. And man, oh man, it's a huge problem. And it's just being perpetuated to a severe degree through social media, through the way the media and the system, the social system, is trying to support mental health. Like, it's a real freaking mess, and that's what's on my heart. I mean, that's really, I remember having breakfast with a pastor, and I said, I want to end judgment. He said, Doug, you'll never end judgment. I said, well, I'm sure going to try to breed it out anyway. If I can help you, raise children without judgment, and they don't judge, maybe when they have kids, we can breed it out in 1 or 2 generations. So anyway, that's really part of my mission, is to try to, at least one person at a time, get you to stop giving a shit what anybody thinks about you. And if I can save one person, maybe I can save 1 million people. So
just like that painting behind you, eh?
Yeah. You know what? I love Gandhi. He got 200 million people to coalesce and get behind an idea. India was under British rule. He had no money. He had no arms. He had no real possessions, but he had an idea. And there's others that followed him. Mandela, Martin Luther King. There's been all kinds of amazing leaders that have followed him and preceded him. And it was just quite simply, he had an idea and he wanted to be the change of the world you want to see. And people got behind the idea. And so I got an idea, and I'm just trying to get as many people as I can to coalesce behind the idea that I've got. And I may not say, I may not get 200 million people behind me, but I might get one person behind me that does what this guy does and changes the world. And so I think it's time for a global uprising in thinking, and break free from all the ignorance and take charge of our life. And so we can do some good. Well, Tyson, I'm going to miss you for the next little while. We're not going to miss you. We still talk all the time. But again, I want to thank everybody that's been here with us so far. So we started at just before Christmas, and we've been doing this every week since the middle of December. And it's been a lot of fun so far. We've learned a lot. I think we've helped a lot. I know Tyson and Aaron, you've helped me a lot. And your energy and your attitude, I noticed when the show comes on, it's all, hi, Tyson, hi, Aaron. Everybody loves Tyson and Aaron. I don't get it. It's no hi, Doug. It's all, hi, Tyson, hi, Aaron. Anyway, you both have done a fantastic job. I really appreciate your efforts and your support in getting this off the ground. And we're gonna do some more. And for those of you that have been here lots, if you've been here for the first time, don't worry, we're coming back. We're gonna do some more of this, and we're gonna make it better. And just share the show if you liked it tonight. And grab the Turning Point workbook there. It's a good little exercise if you want to get on the email list, and I'll stay in touch with you about what's coming up, because I think I've got some cool stuff coming up for you. But the workbook will be great for you as well. That'll help you create a bit of a turning point for you. And if you ever need help, if you're looking for a guide or you're looking for a mentor, then go to my website. You can find me, or just Google Doug Dane or go to dougdane.com. And I'd be pleased to talk to you about working with them. I'm always looking for people that are committed to making a change in their life and making a change in the lives of others. So I'd love to meet you. So any closing remarks for season 1, Tyson and Aaron, before we go?
Well, I would like to say I have been here every episode, and I've seen the repeat people come back and back again. And I'm just so glad for the repeats that came here. I truly do feel like I know you guys now just from your comments. I feel like I really do know you guys, and I hope you guys all take some advice from this show from Doug and really take a turning point in your guys' life. I really want the best for you guys.
Echoing that, we've really built an awesome community here, I think, and a nice safe space to discuss pretty much everything. And Doug's not afraid to give his unabashed opinion. And I think that's what we all need sometimes, is a nice little wake up or just a different perspective. So if anything, this show has definitely given me weeks of things to think about for sure. So I'm not happy to go on hiatus, but I'm excited to come back with fresh new ideas. And I hope everybody else is going to join us. Stay tuned to Doug. He'll let you know when we're coming back. It's going to be awesome.
Well, that's good. Well, listen, you've done a fantastic job. And again, I appreciate you guys helping out. So thanks again, everybody. And we'll see you on the other side. Have a good night. All right. Bye.